Welcome to Your Choice and Your Freedom with Ron Green. Experience Texas opinions from a man who's sick of PC arguing and is ready to get solutions for real issues facing Americans.
Don't touch that dial. It's time for Ron Green and his merry men. Today we've got a very exciting show, Nepotism. Now, for those of you who don't know what nepotism is, that is when someone hires a friend or family member to a position that they have authority over. Say, for instance, Donald Trump hiring his daughter and son-in-law. And our guests today are Aaron Knight, who is, according to this, an opinionated liberal and political analyst. Is that right? Are you opinionated? What's your opinion? Give me one good opinion.
One good opinion?
One good opinion.
Well, I've never rated my opinions on a
on the
good
scale?
or not. Yeah. Opinion about nepotism or
any opinion you get? Do you have an opinion?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't. Here's an opinion. I don't like Donald Trump or his appointees from his family.
That's a bad opinion.
Yeah.
You need to go
Okay.
see. I can hook you up with a good counselor who can help you
I
with
told
that.
you it might not be good.
And our other guest is, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over my tongue today.
Derek Shepard.
Derek,
I know
right.
my own name.
You do?
Yeah.
Excellent, because
Fantastic.
sometimes I don't know mine. And he is a serial
Restaurateur.
restaurateur,
Yeah.
yes,
I get-
and an entrepreneur.
Correct.
And that's exciting.
Yeah.
So, what's your latest conquest?
Well, I do a lot of consulting in the restaurant business.
Do you?
And just did a brand called Sumo Shack in Dallas. That's a big hit right now.
Cool.
It's Japanese hot dogs and hamburgers.
Japanese hot dogs and hamburgers.
It's unique. It's over by SMU off SMU Boulevard.
Cool.
It's a fun project. We're very excited about it.
Excellent. Well, if you guys are out in that area, go and check it out. I've never had a Chinese hot dog or hamburger, either one.
You'd love it.
I would love it. Excellent. Okay, well, let's get so. Seeing as how you're in the deal, have you ever hired any friends or family members to work for you?
Interesting. One time I hired my sons once for a restaurant in River Oaks called Horns Burger Saloon, and it didn't go so well. But yes, I have.
Yeah.
I think they worked for about 45 minutes before they were fired.
I fired my son at least once a week.
Yeah.
At least once a week I fired him. Finally, I sent him off to school so he could learn to do something that didn't involve me.
Right.
So, how about you?
What's up? What do you want to know?
Well, I mean, have you ever hired anybody to do something for you that was related or a good friend?
Well, sure. My
based
wife
on
and
the
I,
fact that they were a good friend or related to you?
I mean, for the past 6 years, my wife and I have run a company together. So yes.
That doesn't really count.
Okay. Well then.
You're partners. So
in that
I'm talking
case-
like a kid or a family, a relative,
Sure.
sister, brother.
Sure.
Good
We've
friends.
had my sister-in-law works for my wife, and we've had her other sister intern for us at our company. I mean, it's something where there's trust already built up, and you're not taking a shot in the dark.
That's what I was going to get to. That nepotism has always been here, and I think it always will be. For one thing, if you own your own business, and you have children, they're going to work somewhere. You're going to give them a shot in your own company.
Sure.
I mean, it just makes sense. You're going to give them a shot. And you're going to hire friends, people you trust and feel like you know over a stranger.
Sure.
And hopefully they can do the job. And if they can't do the job, if you're a true business person, they're not going to stay in the job very long because business is about dollars and cents. So now let's talk about Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, and I forget her husband's name, the guy that carries her purse. Jared, that's it. The guy that carries her purse.
Jared Kushner.
He did convert her to Judaism, so that's pretty strong there.
Yeah, that is, but, you know, I'm not going to get into that. That's
dare you.
absolutely none
Okay.
of my business,
All right.
and I'm not going there. Maybe another show when I've got something besides speculation to go
Okay, right on.
So what do you think about it? You think it's a good deal, bad deal?
Here's the thing. What you were just saying is that when you have a company, your specific words are when you own a company and you hire family and friends because you trust them. But this isn't Donald Trump's company. This is the United States government. It's not his. You know, he presides over it for a little while. But it's not. I don't mind people being appointed that are qualified. I just haven't. I haven't seen the qualifications on either of these people and why they should hold office, or be in the White House
Okay,
at all making decisions.
you lost me at qualified because
Okay.
I don't know anybody working in government that's qualified to work in government.
How about
okay?
experienced then?
Oh God, that's even worse.
I don't know. So how's that working out so far? Last 100 days or so.
I think it's going great. Look at all those executive orders he signed.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
I think that's fantastic. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Jared and Ivanka helped him out on some of that, explained
So-
the big words to him and stuff like that.
I don't know. I don't know about the executive orders. I don't think you should just get to, hey, you know what? We're just going to circumvent Congress on this one, even
Oh,
though
please.
the president before me didn't do that on these certain issues. We're just going to change the rules
Hey,
so that we can get our Supreme Court appointee in there.
Okay, but it was okay when Obama was doing it, right? You didn't have a problem with it then?
Well, I mean, he signed executive orders. Sure, they all do. They all have.
Okay.
Bush, I think, had the most ever. The second Bush, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Well,
you know.
Trump's on pace to crash all those records.
Excellent. I like that. How about you? What do you think?
You know, Ron, I don't have a problem with nepotism in business in general. Politics, it's almost un-American to say someone can't have a job because they were of their birthright. You know, but I would tell you that this incident's a little bit different. I don't think they actually have jobs per se. I think she's an advisor.
She's an advisor,
to
and
Trump.
he's
And I think Jared Kushner may
foreign affairs.
but he's not a paid
No,
role.
he's not, that's
Okay.
the other thing.
And I
Neither
don't-
one of those folks are getting paid.
I think they do affect policy,
How
but not
noble.
in a formal sense. I just think they're advisors, so I don't have a problem with it in this sense. But I do have a problem with appointees. I think that when the government, when you're president, you get almost 6,000 appointees. I do have a problem with being able to appoint someone who's unqualified to be a plumber to something that requires economics or
Right. Well, see, but this goes all the way back to the founding, practically.
that's correct. It
I
does.
mean, look at how long it takes them to get the people in place when a new administration comes in that have to go through the Senate to get confirmation. Look at how long it takes just to get that handful of people. Think about, 10, 12 times that number?
I agree with you, Ron, and you're a contractor, and so I want to put this to you.
Yeah.
Why should it take more qualifications, more education, more certification to be a plumber than it does to make policy for the plumber? You know?
I agree with you on
You
that.
understand what I'm saying?
I totally agree.
Why can Trump just appoint someone who has a degree in swimming pool management
Right.
to
right. But-
or I think it was Bush. Excuse me, it was Bush who had the was it Brown, the head of FEMA,
Yeah.
who was a racehorse, thoroughbred, association president.
Right, but he raised a lot of dough, Joe.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. These guys get the jobs based on the amount of money they raise,
Yeah.
and that's the system we have.
Yeah.
That's the cold hard truth. That's the system we have. Now then, I totally agree with you that when we get into the specifics, real jobs, I'm not talking about ambassadorships and I'm sure that FEMA had somebody there who actually knew how to run FEMA,
Right.
Although it didn't show when Katrina hit, but
Right.
I agree with that we need qualified. The problem is the arrogance in Washington is that if you know about plumbing, you're not fit to work in Washington because you're too dumb to be anything other than a plumber. So we need to hire somebody who went to college and studied about pipes rather than somebody who actually knows how pipes really work.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, the bureaucrats are idiots. I mean, I can't have. They're overeducated.
I don't think there's such a thing.
An overeducated idiot?
As an overeducated anything. What's overeducation?
An overeducated person is a person who spends all their time studying about something and no time doing something. You don't learn how things actually work until you actually do. When you set up a restaurant, you could have read thousands and thousands of books, and the books wouldn't have related at all to the reality of setting up a restaurant, would they?
Correct. I agree with you. I think that experience is the best education.
I do too.
I disagree. I agree in some cases, but experience is not the best education when you're studying law or you're learning to become a surgeon. You have to learn all the ins and outs of what you're about to do before you can actually go do it.
You need to know what the law is, but you can't learn how to get. If you're going to court, you can't learn how to get the judge or the jury to agree with you by reading a book. You need the trial experience.
Yeah, but by your logic, you're saying that anyone could just get up and learn to become a lawyer without actually having to
Actually, you
educate themselves
can.
on how to do
do
it.
you know you don't have to go to college to get a law degree? All you have to do is pass the bar.
You could also represent yourself, but that's a bad idea too.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't do that. But I don't have a problem getting a
You're
law degree.
listening
Hey,
to
you
Your
know what?
Choice and Your
I
Freedom with
ran
Ron
out of
Green.
time
Now
for
go
this
and grab a
segment, but
snack
we'll
and
be
a Dr.
right
Pepper.
back
Ron
with
Green will be right
with
back.
Aaron Knight and Daryl Shaw.
And we're back. This is Your Choice, Your Freedom with your host, Ron Green, finding solutions for America's problems.
Welcome back. I appreciate you hanging in with us. We'll try to do better in segment 2, or at least I will, than I did in segment 1. Seems I stumbled all over the place. But anyway, I want to welcome Aaron and Derek back for the next part. They're still here, so I haven't pissed them off too bad yet. So in this segment, we're going to talk about the real effects that hiring family members and friends have on the environment in which they're put in, whether it's government or company. How does this affect the other people? And are they really, if they're not qualified, how does that affect the morale of the people that they're working with?
You mean people
Especially
that have earned the job?
Well, earned is a strong word for government people. But anyway, we'll talk about this. But
Well, that's a question of should there be any government official that isn't elected?
you know what? Here's the bottom line. The frigging government's too frigging big. It's too big. Okay, government is, you got to treat government like a pit bull. Okay, you got them there to do a couple of specific things, safety primarily. After that, if you don't watch him, that sucker will bite you in the ass. Okay, that's government. And the bigger it gets, the more you feed it, the more out of control it gets, the more they screw up your day-to-day life.
So is the solution more oversight, more government?
No, the solution is less government and no oversight. No oversight on the people, oversight on the government. And that's a task that each one of us has to do on a daily basis as individuals, and most people do not want to be bothered with it, which is why we're in the shape we're in. Most people, they turn out to vote during a presidential election, and not even the majority do then. Maybe in the last one, we got 60% of the registered.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
60% of the registered voters,
Mm-hmm.
but there were more people who could have registered that weren't even registered voters. So,
Right.
Well, a lot of that goes to the fact that the Democrats didn't have a candidate that inspired them the way they did in the
they had
previous two
loser
elections.
Hillary.
You look, I don't hate her, but she was the wrong candidate. Look,
I
the
don't-
Democrats
I
got
don't-
screwed out of their candidate
I
by
don't-
their own party. by the way.
I don't know her well enough to hate her, but what I've seen of her since I was a young man, and that's been a while. The lady is a self-centered
Be careful where you're going with this.
bitch.
And what would you say the current president is? A self-centered.
Oh, he's egotistical. I'll
Okay,
give you that.
so-
But you know what? Egotistical people get shit done. He's not so much self-serving, though. That's the thing. He's already got his, and he got it without, stealing shit from the American people.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're renting out the Lincoln bedroom, when you're taking millions of dollars for political favors, when you're Secretary of State, when you're that's a whole nother show.
That's another show.
That's a whole nother show. What we're talking about here is nepotism, right? Isn't that
Right.
right?
That's
Isn't
right.
Have you heard us talking about it in this segment yet?
I'm still shocked over the Hillary Clinton comment, but look, I
So do you disagree?
yeah.
Or you think it's a little harsh to call her a female dog?
well, listen, I have a lot of respect for Hillary Clinton
Do you?
and what it takes for anyone, let alone a woman, to climb the steps that she's climbed, and taking the abuse that she's taken to get to where she is. She certainly deserves some respect and some admiration for a woman to climb as high as she has on the political ladder. But
Well, I'll give her kudos for her determination and
Yeah.
her grit.
Yeah.
Her bring it on kind of attitude. I'll give her that. But the lady has never had any intention of serving anybody but herself.
yeah,
Ever is pretty strong.
Yeah.
She did try. She was the first to try and champion some universal health care around here.
Good God!
And then
thank
she
God
got
that
bought.
didn't
And
get through.
she got bought. That's what happened. She was the first lady, and she wanted everybody to have health care, which I don't know how you can hate on that. And they bought her. It
I don't
happens.
care. I don't care if you have health care as long as you don't ask me to pay for it.
But see,
what does that mean?
That means it's not my responsibility to pay your medical bills.
Why
that
is
means
that?
that's your problem.
Why isn't it?
Because I have to pay my own. Okay, why is it my responsibility to make sure that you can afford your health care?
Because I'm gonna give you an answer that was recently floating around online when this question was asked in a town hall to an elected official, and it's because we are a civilization. Because it's my responsibility to help pay for the roads that you travel on.
Right, and I do
Right,
that already.
for the schools that your
I
kids
do
and
that
grandkids
already.
attend to. So we are a civilization. We take
Yeah,
care
but
of one
the roads
another.
benefit everybody.
Yeah.
Your personal health care does not benefit me.
It doesn't.
No.
Okay.
No, really, it doesn't. I mean, I'm not a cold-hearted son of a bitch. I want somebody who needs medical attention, who needs real medical attention, not contraceptives or a little blue pill so they can get it up, but real medical attention. I want them to get medical attention. I don't want them to die, but I don't want to pay for it. I think they should pay for it. And if they can't pay for it right then, if they can't afford insurance, do it like they did before the insurance companies got involved and let the person pay it out over time, regardless of how much time that has. And if they don't live long enough to pay it out, then they can write it off. I mean, the system's screwed up. I'll give you that. And I don't think we should let people die in the streets. But at the same time, I can only pay for so much. You know,
That's a
I don't know what your tax rate is, but mine's at 50%.
Ron, that's a different question altogether. Only pay for
Yeah.
so much because we've got money going to places that, in my opinion, are a total waste.
Oh, me too. But the problem is when you start trying to cut that, this guy says, well, that's not a total waste. You know, that
Yeah.
benefits this group of people.
Yeah.
So what needs to happen, and we might get back to nepotism
Yeah.
sometime, but what needs to happen is that we need to come up with a system that actually works and take the politics out of it and just say, approach it like you would your business. This is not working. You know, this is costing us money and we're not getting any kind of results. What can we do? How can
So-
we change this to make this work for everybody?
If there were only other countries who had figured it out.
They haven't figured it out.
Oh, wait, there are.
They're
They're called every Western
their
modern
tax rate is
civilization.
somewhere
Not
between, their
that's
tax
not
rate
us.
somewhere between 60 and 80%.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry,
all they have to
I'm
pay
not
for-
giving you that much damn
All
money.
they have to pay for is their home, their car. That's basically it. The government will send someone to take care of your laundry
You know
if
what?
you've got
I
a
know
job and a baby. at
I
home.
know
Like,
exactly how to fix this. I did this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shows ago. I know a perfect way to do it. You're not going to get anybody to sign on to it. Okay?
Okay.
Because it screws with the current system. And everybody is entrenched in the current system.
I agree with that.
Okay? We're not going to fix it under the current system.
I agree with that.
Okay? All we're going to do is continue to play around the edges. But here's the thing. Before Obamacare, people got treated. You act like they're not getting treated. They got treated.
Oh, don't get me started on this.
They got
I have
treated.
pre-existing conditions.
Okay, you have pre-existing
I couldn't get
conditions,
insurance
but
because
it's
I'm an
against the
asthmatic.
law for a hospital to refuse you if you need medical treatment.
Right, so
if you go to the hospital, they have to treat you whether you can pay for it or not.
That's emergency. That's not.
We're not talking about
that's
quality
not
of life.
treatment. That's not
You know?
treatment. And most people,
Well, see, that's the part I'm willing to pay for. If your life is
but not
actually on the-
preventative care.
No.
If you could save
You-
somebody,
you-
let me
Okay,
push
you're
back.
an
If you
industrious
could,
guy. You're paying your own way, aren't you? Why can't everybody else pay
because
their own
everybody
way?
can't. That's
They
you,
can.
that you answered your own question.
They have to dig in.
No, everybody is not capable of doing what you could do. Okay, everybody doesn't have the same opportunities. Everybody wasn't Donald Trump and didn't get $200 million worth of.
I'll
Okay,
give you that.
all right. So
But
why
everybody-
let's go back to that nepotism question. Why do we have Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump and Jared making healthcare decisions when them numbnuts have never ever seen a healthcare bill in their lives?
Okay, why did we have Obama? Why did we have any of the politicians making health care decisions when they're not even living under the same circumstances? Their health care was not affected in any.
This is how
any
dumb the
way.
American people are. Those politicians have the best health care.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And theirs didn't go away
Right,
under Obama.
and they believe that they should have the best health care, and they believe
Absolutely.
their
You know
health care
why?
should be
Because
paid
they're
for. Hold on.
important.
They believe their health care should be paid for by the American people,
Right.
and we are electing these idiots.
I agree with
And guess
that.
what? We keep doing.
Sending
We're
that-
arguing
sending
amongst
assholes
ourselves, and these idiots are saying, "Oh, you don't deserve it,"
back. Yeah.
Well, the real problem is
and you fell for it, Ron.
we
No,
don't
I
get to
didn't feel-
vote. We don't get to vote on policy. That's the problem. We have to vote
Exactly.
on candidates,
We
and
have
then
to
the
vote
candidates
on
can decide
candidates.
whatever they want.
Right. And see, and
If the American people got to vote on policy,
under
things would be different.
Under our
Way
system,
different. And the fact, and you know what? When they polled Obamacare, and it's actually the Affordable Care Act, you guys want to
you
double-ize
guys,
it.
I love that.
Right.
Okay. They're calling it
You
Trump
people. You people.
All right.
You people want to.
I think that there was a microaggression. Somebody call the PC police.
You people want to make this into something that it's really not. And the funny thing about it is, when people were polled individually on the Affordable Care
Hair Act, the Affordable Hair Act.
health care, they liked everything about it, individual. But when they were told it was this big evil thing by one politician, they voted against it.
It's a big evil thing because it's a bottomless pit based on the way it's set up now. And we got about 5 seconds. We're going to pick this up in the next second. Derek, hang with me. Aaron, you hang around too because I ain't through beating you up yet. And
Is
we'll
that how
get
it's
more
going?
into it in the third
You're
segment.
tuned in to Your Choice, Your Freedom with Ron Green, the show for conservative activists. Your host, Ron Green, will be right back. Your Choice, Your Freedom with host Ron Green is back. Which American issue are we fixing today, Ron?
It ain't nepotism.
We talk about what we want.
That's right. Okay. In the last segment, we were discussing Obamacare, which he says, we hijacked it and made him the evil guy. But I want to get back to that because Obamacare, whether it was a bureaucrat hired by HR department, which was probably hiring her friends or his friends, or whether it was the President Obama nominating or hiring his friends or his wife's friends or Hillary's friends, which I doubt because they really didn't like each other. But regardless, we wound up with Obamacare. Okay, and it's failing. My best guess is the next system they come out with will fail too, because bureaucrats can't fix this. Politicians can't fix this. We need business people to go in there who do not have a left-right mentality, but go, okay, we need this to work. How can we make this work for the least amount of cost and provide the best possible product, in this case, health care, to the people who need it?
You mean the same business people who charge you $75 for an aspirin when you go to the hospital?
Okay, they charge you $75 for an aspirin because they have deep pockets that'll pay that $75. That's the insurance companies. You take the insurance out of medicine, and the price of health care goes way down. Before, when I had my appendix out, I was way, way young. I was a little kid. I was still in elementary school. My parents did not have health insurance. The doctor came to my house, believe it or not, diagnosed me, told him to get me to the hospital. He went in, took out my appendix. Not once was anything said about money.
I'm going to go.
Not once was anything said about money.
Ron, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that doctor did not at that time own a Porsche or a summer home.
Probably not.
Okay, well they do
what
now.
What he did have was a very they do now. The surgeons do, but the general practitioners don't. I mean, they're finding it difficult to find general.
They got high
practitioners.
insurance and a big student loan, though.
But what happened is my dad paid that out, paid the hospital bill and the doctor. He paid it out over a period of time.
Listen, Ron, you're talking about a time where you're on one-income families,
Right.
and you could
Okay,
afford,
wait a minute,
and they could work 40 hours a week on a one-income family and afford to have a house, a car.
The product, just like your Chinese hamburgers and hot dogs.
Japanese.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Aaron.
I'm sorry. Thanks, Aaron. Really.
Chinese is a whole different thing.
Yeah, it is. Okay, I'm
really
sorry.
cool concept. You guys got to check it out.
Yeah, do check out. But my point is you have those priced according to what the market will bear, right?
Correct.
Okay, and shortly after that, in the 70s and in the 80s, the corporations, to attract talent, started, instead of giving higher salaries, go, hey, we can buy insurance. We'll buy health care. Okay, once the hospitals realized that they got these deep pockets that they can go into, it's no longer about what the marketplace will bear. It's about what can we get. It's about how much can we get out of these deep pockets. So if we take the insurance companies out of it and the government and treat it like a business, like it was run before, and before every doctor thought he was entitled to a Porsche and a summer home, then the price will come down. The price will come down. When the price comes down, then we actually have affordable health care. But until we change the system, the whole entire system, until we get rid of the insurance companies and we get the politicians out of it who don't know their way around the beltway, let alone how to figure out something as complicated as health care, we're not going to get this solved. It's going to be one constant battle, no matter what plan they
it's
come
interesting
up with.
you say that, because that reminds me of the original topic of your show today, nepotism.
Right.
And one of the topics of that show was, is it a good thing? Okay, one of the issues. And when you have people in politics who then bring up their children or relatives in politics with the same ideological thinking and political connections, it's very hard to get change made.
Oh, yeah.
When you're going from one parent to son to grandson to because they're all on the same wave. They're all on the same money train. They're all on the same. And so is it a good thing? Overall, I think not. Is it something that we should legislate?
No,
I'm not big on legislating somebody who's qualified out of a job, but I also think that our society, this country, has evolved from new ideas, new thinking, and change, right?
Right.
And if you're following along that same little Pied Piper way of thinking with your family or your community, then you don't get change, and change is always a good thing when it's progress.
You're not going to get change as long as you don't think for yourself either.
Correct.
And that's the direction that we're headed in that we look. The majority of people look to someone else to tell them what to think.
Yeah.
In
agree.
other words, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, they had their own little groupies. Okay, they had their people, their diehards. None of them, I'll bet you, ever took the time to really think through how what they say they want would actually affect them in their day-to-day life. They don't think about the real results of what's going on. You know, I was asked if I believed in God earlier, or if I was religious, and I said I believe in God. I'm not religious. My parents were very religious, but I was taught to think for myself, and it came back to bite them in the butt when I turned 16 because I declared my independence. I was no longer going to be subject to their rules and regs.
That God thing is nepotism at its highest.
Yes, it is. Now,
we
I do believe
have
in
the
God.
Father and the Son.
But I don't believe in organized religion for the same reason I don't believe in political parties, and I don't believe in left and right. Even though I'm definitely on the right, I believe in self-independence and self-responsibility, which is why I say I don't want to pay for your health care. I'm paying for mine. You figure out a way to pay for yours.
I don't believe in left or right either. I believe in forward and backward. And forward is taking care of your own people. That's if you don't, we're going backward.
We ever since man was in caves, they tried to take care of their own people. But there are a limited number of resources, and not only that, but when the government gets involved in this stuff, whether it's nepotism or whether it's just some incompetent college graduate who doesn't know never mind. But regardless, these people get bogged down in regulations and who's going to get what and who's going to pay for this and blah, 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 blah. And at the same time, the lady's just going, hey, I need an aspirin for my kid, okay? You know? And I'm not going to pay for your birth control. I'm sorry. If you're on the pill, pay for it yourself, okay? If you need a little blue pill, you need that help, fine. Pay for it yourself. I'm not paying for that. That's not health care. That's procreation.
So you're saying there's a line that some things should be...
That's not health. Would you say that's health care?
Okay, but where's the line? You're saying, okay, well, if they're dying, they need help. But what about somebody like me, who has to have an inhaler to get through his day because he's asthmatic?
My sister had to have an inhaler.
Okay, so I would not get to have it. I would just have to go through my whole life not being able to breathe most of the time, and the only time I could get health care is if I was actually about to die from it. So it means my quality of life would suck.
My sister had an
But who
inhaler all the
cares?
time. She never had insurance. She never had insurance.
Yeah, but you're talking about was this baby boomers or before?
No, she just
This is a
recently
long time ago,
passed.
right?
She was a drug addict, so she never had insurance. But she always had her asthma, her inhaler, because if she did, she could have an asthma attack that'd kill her. She had to have that.
Right.
She had to have that inhaler on her all the
Same
time.
here. And do you realize?
But she got that before and after Obamacare.
I didn't.
Through some kind of state-run aid.
I couldn't.
See?
Well, let me ask you this: Why is it important in our society for us to have, and I don't like this word free, but for us to educate all the children in America?
Because
why do we pay? Why is your education more important than your health?
Your education is not more important than your health because you know what you get out of education? You get a starting point. You don't actually learn anything until you start doing. You have to do to learn, to really learn. You get a starting point. That's what you get out of
If you can afford it.
Everybody gets a starting point. I've got a 10th grade education. I haven't done bad.
Okay.
Now then, I like to throw that around.
But that doesn't mean that everyone could do that.
Because it looks real impressive, you know. And here's this guy with an idiot that's making the kind of money he is and doing, you know. But I did go to college. I just didn't bother with degree plans. There was specific stuff I needed to learn in order to accomplish the goals that I wanted to accomplish. That's what I learned. I went to the Fort Worth Public Library, you know. There's a point where and not everybody needs to go to college, okay? Not everybody has the discipline to make it pay for them.
I agree.
And like me, I would have a degree plan. Are you kidding me? I'm going to tell that guy, I could give a shit less about Shakespeare. I ain't doing this shit.
Well, a lot of these degree plans are dragged out because they make more money that way.
Exactly.
Which is why we shouldn't have to pay for college.
We cut it down. Yes, God almighty. Don't you know somebody has to pay for it?
Yeah, but not everybody's going to go.
Somebody, he and I. If you don't, he and I have to pay for it.
I will. I'll pay the higher taxes so everybody can go to college. And so that everybody can have health care.
Well, you have a lot more money than I do.
No, I don't.
I'm done paying all I'm going to pay. Okay, I got 4 seconds, guys. In segment 4, we might talk about
Don't touch
negativism.
that dial.
Negativism.
You don't want to miss what we have
Nepotism.
coming up.
Come
Your
back.
Choice and Your
We'll be
Freedom
here,
with Ron
baby.
Green. And we're back. This is Your Choice, Your Freedom with your host, Ron Green, finding solutions for America's problems.
Well, we are back, and we are supposed to be talking about nepotism, but we found better things to talk about, so we're going to talk about nepotism, maybe.
I think we have been.
But I'm back with Derek and Aaron, and a lot of interesting things have came up based on this nepotism thing. It's been kind of a catalyst because you can't talk about nepotism without talking about how in government, without talking about how it influences our day-to-day lives, and for all the good intentions, a lot of times creates even bigger problems and more arguments and pits more people against each other. And actually, I believe deep down we all want the same goal. We want to figure out a way to get the problem solved without it adversely affecting another group of people. And you can't, there isn't enough money in the country. If you took all the money to take care of everything people think the government these days should be taking care of, there's just not enough money. If you want a single-payer health care system, fine. Tell me what you're willing to give up to get it, and we'll talk about it.
How about some defense budget?
No, I want my nukes, dude. No, I'm serious. The nukes keep the Russians in their place. I don't mind them messing around with the election. I'm a smart guy. I can figure out what's bullshit and what ain't. But they start landing on the east and west coast or the Gulf of Mexico. I want something there between them and me.
We would
I'm
win with
old.
half of what we have.
I'm
We would
getting
win
old.
with a fourth of what we have. I mean, our Navy is bigger than the next
six navies combined. You can never have a big enough bat. A big bat keeps the bullies away. You can never have a big enough bat.
I'm willing to have a little bit smaller bat.
I
so
got a
people
better
can
idea.
Have health care.
Let's give up Planned Parenthood and PBS.
Yeah, let's hurt the poor people
let's
even more.
Give up
Let's really stick
Planned
it to them.
Parenthood and PBS. We're giving them free health care. They don't need Planned Parenthood anymore. Let's give up PBS. Let's give up
anything liberals like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, Ron, it's funny because you brought up Planned Parenthood, and we can bring up nepotism again because I believe is the president or whatever title is CEO of Planned Parenthood is Ann Richards' daughter.
Yeah.
The former governor
I know her.
of Texas, my favorite governor.
The last Democrat
Your
governor?
favorite governor?
Yes, by far. Smashed Bush.
Yeah.
In debates and was great.
Yeah.
She's a firecracker.
And
yeah.
But
The only thing wrong with her was she was a damn Democrat. Other than that,
yeah, she was a Southern belle, man, and I loved her to death. But her daughter is running Planned Parenthood, and I don't know if that position was appointed or given. I don't know. I don't think it has any ties to the state of Texas as far as we know. But I will tell you that 97% of what Planned Parenthood does is for women's health care and preventative health care,
Right.
and I think 3% was abortion. And so, in essence, there's an attack on Planned Parenthood, and I don't get it.
You know why?
I'll never go ahead.
okay, the attack on Planned Parenthood is that even though they legally cannot provide abortion with taxpayer dollars, their literature and their counseling counsels young women in that direction. And the other thing is, they got caught selling baby parts.
Oh, get out of here,
Oh,
Ron.
no.
Listen, hey, Aaron, you'll agree with me on this, I hope. This is what always confused me about conservatives,
Right.
all right, is you don't want abortion, but you don't want to feed the babies
No,
that
I
are
don't-
born that can't take
Hey,
care of
They're
themselves.
pro-life until they're alive.
So,
I'm pro-life. Look, folks, you say that, and it sounds good. It's a good line. I like that.
Thanks.
But here's the deal: it's not that we don't like that kid. We got kids of our own to take care of. There's only so much money you can take from me before I say fuck you and I'm going on the tit. Okay? I mean, if you're going to take it all, why am I working? Why am I working? Why did I why did I decide as a 12-year-old that I was not going to live in the poverty that my parents were living in, that I was going to be financially successful no matter what I had to do it, as long as I didn't wind up in prison, because it don't matter how much dough you got if you're sitting in a cell.
well, that's the good part of nepotism, Ron, is that if we want to talk about the good part, is it's just like a racehorse, it's breeding. If success breeds success. And so if you are a successful person and you have good values and you have great education and then you want your kids to follow in that footsteps and you build a
Exactly.
company for your family to keep going on. So there's some good part of nepotism.
Right.
The part that I have a problem with is in politics, because you're basically giving them jobs that aren't family businesses. It's not the Ford family. It's not
It's not
if
their
the
company.
It's not their company.
Here's the problem with government.
agree,
If the
Aaron.
politician doesn't give them the job, then the bureaucrat will give their friends the job.
If they want to get elected, fine. But
The bureaucrat, you see, when it goes to the HR department, they're going to tell their friends. I don't do any government contracts. I don't waste my time. You know why? Because the guy that's going to award that contract, he already knows who's getting it. See, I mean, he's got a buddy, he's got a friend, he's got someone.
But am I wrong? But I don't think nepotism is a friend deal. We're talking about relative, right?
Well, it's relatives
because-
are friends. It's someone.
Well, friends, I mean,
Well,
that-
right,
In this
yeah,
discussion, we're including both.
Yeah, it's really family. The exact dictionary term is really family, but very few family actually get hired. It's more like friends or business associates that have, you scratch my back, I'll scratch
Well,
yours.
like Aaron said, I don't mind doing business with people that I love and care about and trust. I mean, you I believe you said you have family that works with you, and you trust them, and they look out and they have your back and they work hard, and you know what you have. It does work in a lot of incidents, but there are some incidents where there's some, the underlings feel a little bit of pressure, feel a little bit of anxiety because they're dealing with someone who can't be fired or
Right.
And
That's the big problem. Is like when my son worked for me, everybody knew he was my son, and my son was not the supervisor because I'm running a business, not a charity, and he didn't have the skill set to run the crew. But at the same time, the guy that was running the crew knew that he couldn't fire him.
Yeah.
I have a good example of this.
But my son, at the same time, I raised him, and he's got my work ethic, and he knows that I don't give a shit who he is. I'm running a business, and if he ain't making me money, he ain't staying there, which is why he got fired all the fucking time. All the time. Excuse me, I didn't say that. I said all the time. One of these other guys said that.
Listen, you walk into any car dealership in America, and there's going to be 5 guys with the same last name. One of them's going to be the GM or the owner, calling all the shots, and the next guys are going to be the next highest paid guys. Because when a call comes in and somebody wants to buy a car, they're going to give it to their... I've seen this. I've worked at car dealerships. I've seen this happen. That's fine because they own that dealership.
Right.
They can make those decisions and make their... And that's fine because they bought it. They're invested. They're not elected officials.
Right.
This is not Donald Trump's company.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because of the bureaucracy that the government has created to this point.
So what's the solution?
And the solution? You won't like my solution.
You want to tear down the government.
You damn right. I want to get it back to what it was intended to be. I want the state. You can manage a state. The people, the general public, can keep a closer eye on politicians that are close to them than they can the bureaucrats in D.C. I want Washington, D.C. to be what it was founded to be back in the 1700s, back when the founders created it. I want the states to determine it. Not only that, then you and I aren't fighting. Well, we're in the same state, so we're probably still going to fight. But I'm not worried about the people in California. You know,
they make better policy, in my opinion. That's why I
can tell you,
I would have to move.
As if you got $3 million to go buy a 1,500 square foot house, move your ass to California.
But no, there's roots here. So this is the problem. This is why I like the federal government, because I live in a red state. And so what the federal government does is prevent them from screwing everyone, because people in California do have progressive ideas and believe in technology.
Give me one example of how the state of Texas has screwed up your life.
No, they haven't. Well, okay.
Okay? I mean, had they come and take your gun away from you?
Well, they owe me a whole bunch of money right now that they're not going to just openly send over from the Attorney General's office. You know, like they slow that up on purpose because look at our Attorney General. Like, give me the United States government over the Texas government any day.
Okay, fine. Then get used to nepotism, because either the politicians are going to do it or the bureaucrats are going to do it.
Well, what's the difference? What's the difference between a bureaucrat and a politician?
A bureaucrat is the person they appoint, that they hire for life.
A non-elected official.
A non-elected official that they hire for life. You know what? This show's finally over. So if you tuned in to hear about nepotism, hopefully you were listening to Derek, because he did the most talking about it. And for those of you who are still here, hoping to find out about nepotism, I say, who the hell cares? It's going to happen. It's perfectly human nature, and all we can do is, if they're in government, is try to keep them, keep an eye on them, make sure that they're not getting too far out of bounds. That's it. Come back and see us next time. Check us out. Episodes on YouTube. Visit yourchoiceyourfreedom.com and go try some Japanese hot dogs and hamburgers.
Thanks, Ron.
See you next time.
Thanks, guys.